the role of digital communication tools. And to help us is Madam Odelia Amma Adomaa Ofori. Madam Odelia is the only female journalist leading a business brand in Ghana's competitive media landscape. She has 20 years of experience in field reporting and corporate media strategy. She has been able to transform business programming and news content by transforming the business news department from an idle content provider to a viable business generator. And by this, business engagements have risen by 100-fold in monetary gains. Her journalistic experience, as well as corporate exposure for 20 years, bestows on her to uplift women and girls for economic empowerment. And she has achieved this by giving young females rare opportunities of internship in her department, which is male-dominated. She has also established corporate synergies with female CEOs and diplomatic missions, and ongoing projects which includes an annual female focused project with women ambassadors with high commissioners in Ghana. Ladies and gentlemen, can we welcome Madam Odelia Amma Adomaa.
Okay, my name is Odelia. Like she stated already, I'm coming to be talking about some of the great results we have posted at the Joy Business Department. That I think in whatever you're doing, you probably will be able to pick one or two things from the slides that I'm going to share, and be a better or a greater project manager in whichever field that you're in. So if you're ready, I'm ready. Ready? About 8 years ago, it was led by Emma Morrison, and then Emma Morrison resigned July 2020 during the COVID times. When she was leaving, out of the 14 team members, we were left with only 7, because the rest didn't think the next person going to take over from her had the exposure or the experience at a management level. They weren't too sure what was going to happen, and so some left. Then we were left with, so the critical team members that we lost, social media and research. Then the Joy Business brand was a transitioning brand at the time. And with 7 people, we had an additional work, which was adding marketing to whatever that we currently are doing. So we're talking Project Joy Business. So that was the scope of work for us. We were supposed to generate content for the whole group. We were supposed to do production for my online. We were also supposed to produce content for all our social media platforms. We were supposed to produce events. And then we were supposed to create new content for the brand. Then the additional responsibility of really projecting the brand, or the group deciding that the multimedia group will be seen in the business field from the eyes of Joy Business. And so whoever needed to really interact with the multimedia group in relation to business had to do it through the Joy Business brand. And that actually puts another responsibility on us to market the brand. And this really meant that we didn't have to just leave that job for one Odelia, who's the head of the department, but everybody within the team had to now have at the back of their mind that they weren't just reporters, but they were going out there to also generate revenue for the brands. Okay, so we needed to have a strategy, otherwise then it wasn't really going to work. With 7 people doing 14 people's work, with additional responsibility, we needed to have so we decided that we will concentrate our energies on two things: revenue generation, and then, of course, issues relating to people. We started off with people first, because they are the people who will drive the department. They are the people who will create the content. And if they didn't have an understanding of where the business was going to now, especially with the group's strategic thrust of digital first, if they didn't really have this actually going for them, then it was really going to be difficult. And so we needed to do some training. And so out of the lot, we had only one person at the time who had a master's degree in finance. And therefore, training was actually like critical. And so we quickly got KPMG to do training for us, a 1-month training program. And then we decided that their capacity was somewhat built up to a certain level so that we could actually do it. Then, through some strategic connections through LinkedIn, which is actually like the professional social media, we got some other people to also come on board. Then we currently also got the ESG manager for Uber Global to also come down, and he's the person from HR to come and take team members through working local, thinking global. Because whatever things we're doing as a communication hub currently, we're not just serving the local audience, we are also serving an international audience. And if businesses were going to come to Ghana, they definitely will have to think the multimedia group first as the go-to place to start anything communication. And for them, if we didn't really stay visible internationally, that would mean that some lost revenue, because whichever media house is staying visible was actually going to be the one. And remember that we have also continental free trade also going up. We have the office here in Ghana, and therefore if there's anything that's going to happen, we will have to be at the top of everybody's mind, top of the mind awareness. And so we really needed our team to be really solid and work like that. Okay. So as team lead, I also did some connections with other people and said that we needed to think, once we are lean, we need to take a look at which systems to use so that we actually stay so lean but are able to deliver on big things. And so Scrum was the next thing I decided to go with. After the Scrum lectures, I said, no, we need to have this mentality as a team. And so I got the Scrum lectures to also come and take team through some Scrum so that whatever things that we're looking at as a team, we will actually be looking at it collectively. So whatever tools you are using, your team does not understand, becomes quite difficult, and communicating to your team very difficult. And so whichever tools you upgrade yourself with, your team will also have to upgrade it. So we did a Scrum training for the full team. Then I did some leadership training as well. We decided to sign some MOUs with the business schools because of where we as a group have decided to go to. We said digital first. Anytime people think digital, in terms of consuming news, we wanted to be the brand that is not about communication plan was centered around this, that we work together daily. And so based on that, every morning we have a 15 minutes session where all of us will meet and do a postmortem of what we had done in the morning and share feedback, and then see how we can improve upon whichever stories we have done. Then we also looked at what competition was doing and seeing that where did we fall short? How can we quickly recover before 1 p.m. Because competition also does their news. One form of competition actually also does their news at 1 p.m. And therefore, if we had not done a story, then we needed to really recover quickly and really do it in a very smart way. So we looked at that. Then we engaged more face-to-face. Previously, because of the traditional ways of doing things, our engagements were rather mostly through emails. And so if you didn't actually check your email, then you were really going to get into trouble. We did more face-to-face conversations where me as team lead together with the rest, we will have sessions and we could talk really. So for example, I remember one of the sessions we had, I asked everybody what actually makes you deliver the way you deliver as a team member. And then one of the team members said that, well, she grew up with a father who never made them have an opinion. And so for her, it makes her really always wait for people to give her instructions before she moved. And others had different places in terms of why they actually delivered their work the way they currently were delivering. And based on that, we actually accommodated each other better, because now we really understood within the team why we were behaving the way we were behaving, and therefore we needed to actually work with each other, putting at the back of our minds that we are all coming from different backgrounds and we will deliver the news differently, or we will deliver our targets differently. Then we put together a platform. It's a simple Google spreadsheet, and that was like a major game changer for us, especially on my job line. Well, when I took over and everybody had left, leaving 7 people, and the social media manager wasn't around anymore, that was a big challenge. So we had to quickly get someone in who will support us with content on my job line. But because most of the team members were trained from journalism schools where traditional media was how they were mostly trained, it was pretty difficult for them to migrate to the various digital platforms. And so the only way we could actually get them to really migrate and to do their online stories was actually to come up with this Google spreadsheet. And it was just a simple spreadsheet that we had. Yes. So on this simple Google spreadsheet, we have a section for your name, the story you had done, and then the online version. You copy the link and you paste it there. By the time we put this together, we originally used to have this about 4 stories, business stories in a day. This moved the stories from 4 to 5 to about 12 stories on my job in a day. Because I will check it and I will find that you haven't done your stories. And then I will give you feedback and say that, hey, you have to get the story done because that is where you're going. That is how your story will reach several other people. And if you didn't do it, then it was really going to create a problem for us. I'm currently sharing this platform with them because my observation was that then they were just stuck at my job line and they were not migrating their own stories onto other social media platforms. And so that was left for the digital media team that is very busy doing so many other things. And so I said, look, we're going to use this platform now. So it's your name, the date you did the story, and then the social media link, and then your Major Online link, and then my remarks. And this is actually the next phase. So we're reinventing ourselves because people will change. Things in relation to communication will change. And once the team changes and has moved on, we automatically will have to change the strategy and move on. Okay, so in order to also get a lot of information, because remember that we're a content generating house, and our content will constantly have to be fresh in order to get team and everybody really consuming the content. And therefore, if we have done it for so long, we want to know, for example, how can we do it better? So for example, we've done the Joy Business Plan for 8 years, getting on to 9 years. How do we make that content fresh? And how do we really engage several other people to be part of it? So currently, for example, through this re-energizing team meetings, team said, look, if we have everybody coming on the Joy Business Plan, why don't we actually put them all on a platform and constantly find them things that will keep their businesses growing? And once their businesses grow, they are thinking of communication and getting to a larger audience. And that will only mean that we are preparing the next generation of businesses for ourselves as Limited. Okay, then, so this was what we had done for team. Then we decided that we will look at the revenue side and basically cut out cost completely. And one of the first things we decided to do was we internally generating our own events was becoming burdensome. So we were actually spending a lot of money to generate the events. And so if that is going to be a challenge for us, then why don't we partner with a lot of institutions and come up with the events together with them. Now, together with them, they are going to use our platforms. We have had some who just came and said, we do not even want to use your traditional media platforms. We would rather you do the digital media platforms. And that's exactly what they did. It was satisfying. That actually cut off our cost completely. Then our training cost was also cut out. And then based on the systems we've put in place now, we as a 7-member team is actually doing more, and therefore we have been able to cut out the cost for the lawyer drastically. Then also, of course, for venues, whoever we were doing our partnerships with actually took over the venue costs and that. Yes, so some of the places we really cut down cost was also on us dropping internet at various places for our live shows. That was taken over by whoever came to do business with us now. That was also cut out. Okay, so these are some of the results we got. We decided that we will do flyers for whoever we were doing the events for, because we had huge competencies there. We decided to share it on all our digital platforms for them at a zero cost, because we have the numbers there. And then we decided that our team members will actually be the hosts for their events, because we are actually professionals and we understand the communication environment, the live programs, so that when we went for live events, if there was a challenge, then we wouldn't actually be so nervous, because we have constantly done it. And that is what we actually decided to offer our external customers. and the result has been tremendous. I'll give some examples. So we did this event with the Chamber of Commerce, and we advised them that instead of doing just an event and doing LPMs, waiting for journalists to come and cover, why don't you rather do it on two platforms, traditional media and digital media platforms? And they took the advice for the very first one. By the time we noticed, within the space of about 3 months, they had given us 100,000 CDs, which ideally, if they had gone the previous way, they would have given us money of about 1/3 of that amount, because then they would have done the live programs using our digital platforms as well. And it gave them a lot of results. What we decided to do is go beyond just doing the event to actually providing them with additional value. And so when the Ministry of Communication did an event where the Vice President said this, we quickly went on and did this postcards for online. And then they also, the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce actually also did this. They had a conversation on the budget, and we did this postcard for them as well. This is also one of the things the association sent us. Thanks very much for an excellent work done. God bless you and the entire team. So these are some of the results that we actually posted by not just being a traditional media organization, but also providing other digital platforms that the clients could actually be benefiting from.
So it is a quick announcement to our virtual audience. The link will be down, but please refresh and then you can consider enjoying the session.
Yes, so basically that's it. These are some of the things we have done. We currently have come up with an online business program called the Joy Business Social, because we feel that people actually want to consume a lot also on social media, and business information sometimes is a bit rigid. Sometimes also when people are trying to get business information, it's pretty difficult. And so if we brought the key business people to their doorstep, it will actually bring them a lot of results. So we got them so far we've done 2 speakers. The Registrar General was online herself, answering questions from ordinary Ghanaians who had businesses. She actually went ahead to take people's contacts online, to contact them privately, to support them, to navigate whichever business registration challenges they were having. And for us, that actually brought us really close to our clients and also to get feedback from them. And then the next one we also did was still the virtual communication, where we got the group head for the Bank of Scotland to share with us what international financial houses really think when they want to actually partner local businesses to scale up in terms of funding opportunities. What should really be in your books? And that also brought our clients some value. What I'll say is that you need to identify which areas that you find your audiences and the best means by which you can reach your audiences, your external customers. How do you share reports with them? You probably can send them short postcards of the report so that at a glance, or maybe just 5 or 10 postcards, they have an idea, or it serves as a teaser for them to really go into the bulky documents to really take a look at. And for your internal customers to really check whether they are really delivering or whatever things they have said, a simple Google spreadsheet will share with them exactly how they are advancing, so that if they are not making enough progress the way you want it, you can quickly solve the problem before the project lifespan gets there and people are fluffing all over the place, not really coming up with what they are actually supposed to do. Thank you very much.
Wow, excellent presentation. So it's time for questions, suggestions, contributions.
Thank you very much. Odelia, I unfortunately joined in the middle of a presentation, but one thing I've seen currently going on in the media and telecom space is that now, because of advancements in technology, digitalization, a lot of companies are adding a business side of their work. So we have joy business. We never had Vodafone business, MTN business, University of Ghana business school. Everybody's adding something business to the environment. Now, I know that the media houses, a lot of your revenue, correct me if I'm wrong, do come from advertisement. Now, considering the fact that now most of these companies that used to advertise on your network when you have a certain session and you announce all these announcements, now they are going on their, OTTs like WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram, and doing their own advertisement. Do you think that in the media landscape, just doing news or just sharing content about what is happening in the environment is enough for you to remain sustainable as a business? Thank you.
So what we currently do is to go beyond just providing content to actually doing a lot of relationship marketing. I've had clients who came to us with a communication problem, but we had to solve other problems for them. And they definitely will come back to us again for business because we have time to really solve other problems for them. And so if you put your things on social media, you will see that that aspect of relationship marketing will actually be lost because sometimes the places you put some of these things, these companies actually don't react as fast as possible. And so for me, I think the relationship marketing bit is actually the next thing that businesses, whether you're media or not, should actually be looking at. Providing not just the services you claim to be providing, but actually giving people huge value.
All right. Good morning, Madam Odelia. I see you very much on my LinkedIn. No, there's an advert with Volta. Your data keeping, my record keeping was really bad. It's not you.
No.
Oh, okay, the person really looks like you. Okay. All right. Thanks very much. I've taken quite a number of lessons. I have a couple of questions, if you don't mind. Okay. So you said that the team was 14, and it was after your former boss left, it was trimmed down to 7. My question is that was it that previously the 14 was a big number? Because I didn't hear you say you have recruited and all your data is on the 7. Okay, that's my first question. Then my second question is that how are you also managing the culture? I see you've done some very good job, and I really took a lot from your communication plans. In fact, I would want you to expand on the show, not tell. But how are you managing the culture? Because it appears, and from where you come from, we've heard of a lot of high-profile, exits, right? How are you managing your culture, the culture in your team versus probably the larger organization? Thank you very much.
Okay, so some of the things we adopted have actually been scaled up So for example, in the Joy Business team, we set up the Google spreadsheets to really hold each other accountable. That is currently being done by the Joy News team, who are currently number up to about 800 people because they are a bigger team. They are currently using our platforms, and so it's gradually becoming a culture that is spreading, that you actually cannot come to work and just do anything and go, and that you will be accountable. And we will not wait for the accountability to be at the end of the year anymore. Accountability will be done virtually every day to make sure that you're actually delivering on what you were given to do. And so what we're actually doing as a small unit is affecting the bigger business. And that is actually happening also because when COVID hit, we decided not to wait for management meetings to happen only once every month. We decided to go virtual with all our management meetings, and we do 2 weeks. And so we will come and share with everybody what each unit is doing. And based on what a particular unit is doing, other unit members will be encouraged to pick it up and scale it up. And so the culture from our department within the bigger culture is actually also affecting the bigger business. And then it wasn't that the 14 people at the time were not working. It's because sometimes accountability was also not being done. We currently are still 7. We haven't changed after a year. We're still 7 people. There's too much to be done. We will recruit, but until we do, this is how we've been able to surmount the big task that was given us.
Are your team, just a follow-up, are your team coping with the pressure, with the reduced numbers?
Yes, you will definitely get some kicking against changes, some saying that, hey, it's too much. And so the moment I noticed that team is fatigued, it's either we go out. And so I probably may be one of the few managers within the team that really does these sessions, taking the team out. Then also, the moment a team member comes to say, hey, Odelia, I'm really feeling tired. I don't say keep working. I say, go, take a leave. And sometimes they're surprised because they actually may be playing a huge role. And I say, no, I don't want you to break down. And sometimes encourage them to work from home. So for example, my editor yesterday said now he was tired. I said work from home, that was yesterday, and he stayed at home to work. And the work was still done.
Yeah, so I'm an avid listener to Joyce, and my radio is like 24/7. What will you
Thank
consider?
you.
What will you consider in this modern era as your biggest threats? And what are the new opportunities that you want to encounter going forward? And then on a lighter note, I want you to look at something. This is a feedback. I think mostly your instincts, when you want to play the instincts, you sometimes get it wrong, and then you come back, so you have to check that. So that's...
Thank you very much. Thank you. We will work on that. It happens in all the media houses, including BBC. Sometimes they also, but that is not, to absorb ourselves of the wrong things. Sometimes you may find that the machines, because the machines are used 24 hours, you want to play an insert and it's frozen. So you can sometimes hear the anchors say that we will come back to that story because we have technical challenges. And then of course, sometimes team members in a rush, instead of putting the sound in the right places, may not, or may give the same name which they gave to a particular story because it's a running story, the same name from yesterday to today. And you notice that they are playing a sound bite from yesterday for today. Now, our biggest threats is not just Facebook, WhatsApp, and all that. It's all of you trying to focus your energies on content. So if you decide that you will keep pushing stuff from PMI on your platform and not using us, you will do it for some consistent time. And then by the time you notice it's so big, your community has become so large that you really don't need us. So that for us is a big threat. Yes, it is. And then apart from that also, the fact that people, our own team members, who have traditionally been schooled in the traditional way of doing media and are still being schooled in the traditional way of doing media, so that when they even come and you're trying to reschool them that people are actually consuming on mobile devices, so you should get there, they are not actually getting there. And that is also like a major problem for us. And once they are able to quickly do that, that will really help us. I think that we have great opportunity because we as a media house are professionals, and so we will be able to generate professional content as compared to all of you who decide to take up content. And so our partnerships with organizations, businesses, or institutions will have to be deepened so that we actually help you to generate the content even on your platform and do a cross-posting which will have some of your content also sitting on our content. I see that as a big opportunity for us as a business.
Great submission. For those of us joining us online, we're still waiting for your questions. If you have any questions, you can type it and we'll take it up. Okay, next question.
Good afternoon. I think Amma is leadership approach is adopted and great work done.
Thank you.
Aside, from 14 to 7, that's serious.
Yes.
I want to know.
Please remember also that it's difficult to find business reporters. It's one of the rare commodities that we have in the industry. I currently have CVs. We sit down and we ask, can these people bring the value that we're looking for? And it's difficult. People find business as a difficult area. Ordinary reporters are not willing to do extra to become business reporters. And if we put someone on air who couldn't really tell what CPI is, inflation, and said this person should read, and they're reading and they're confused, it is the audience that will say, where did Joy go and get this guy from? Guy is not just good, he's just wasting all of us our time. And there are some so-called business reporters that I constantly, my younger brother is a finance person. He will call me and say, oh, this person in this station, he says he's doing business, but it's not business at all, So it's not like we're not finding to replace, but it's difficult.
I didn't like that should be.
Yes, I just wanted to give that as a
Sure. I appreciate that it's a technical area. You see, so that's why I wanted to know. Aside upgrading the skills of these team members, what you don't like to share?
Okay, so we put reward systems in place as well. So team members originally will just do their stories, and if they were able to fill the platform and it was done, that's it. Or previous, they would just do their stories and that is it. But we said we attached a simple reward system. I won't mention what, but that was also good motivation for team members. Apart from reward, we also attached a lot of educational opportunities. So for example, currently, the University of Ghana Business School wants to do some training for us, and they will give us certification, and everybody wants to have certificates, and so yeah, that is also good motivation for team.
Yeah, thank you so much, Odelia, for that insightful. It's not an area that I'm very averse in terms of media concept, but very, very insightful. And I think what you just said speaks to the fact that digitalization is not all about tech. I think you've alluded to the fact that you may have all the tech lined up, the first class, but ultimately it's about people and the process. It is, I think, the lead in terms of change and delivering quality, right? We are digitalizing, we can digitalize all we want across all the landscape and environment, but if technology ultimately fails, the fallback is what? Human. And it's also the human or the people processes that we need to put in place to leverage on technology. So my standpoint always is, tech is wonderful, and I'm a very big tech fan, but ultimately, people process is key.
Thank you very much. Without people, we can't implement the new technology.
Okay, thank you very much. Shall we give a hand of applause to Madam Odelia? Thank you so much for our presence.